Ali asked a question, and his question is regarding the fasting of oath. Is this fasting supposed to be continued by a relative even after the person dies? So basically speaking, Ali is asking about a number of things that take place after a person dies. So he has financial debts, he has Hajj he did not perform, and he has fasting that are oaths he did not perform. First of all, regarding financial debts, it is a well-known fact that the first thing that must be extracted and taken from the wealth of a deceased is something that is needed to prepare his washing and shrouding of the body and burial. So this is the first thing to be taken from him. Secondly, we have to look at the debts. So we announce, does anyone gave our deceased money before he died and he owes him debt? So he comes forward, he brings 2 male witnesses or a written statement that yes, this is his signature, okay. We give him what the deceased owed him. Then we have to look whether the deceased had left behind a will or not. And it is his right, as any Muslim's right, to write a will not exceeding 1/3 of his wealth, allocating it to any other than his own heirs. So I cannot write a will to my wife, to my daughter, to my son, to my father, to my mother, because they are inheriting me, they are my heirs. Finally, the 4th category after finishing the first 3 is distributing the inheritance, the wealth, to the heirs according to the division that Allah has stated in the Quran. So now, financial debts are over. What about religious debts? Each individual is obliged to perform pilgrimage once in a lifetime. This is part of the pillars of Islam. If a person dies and he did not, so scholars say, take from his wealth and appoint someone to perform Hajj on his behalf. And it's known as Hajj al-Badal. Is it valid? Inshallah, it is valid. What about prayers? If he had missed prayers, scholars say prayers cannot be performed on behalf of others. Deputizing people in prayers is not valid. What about zakat money? My father pays zakat in Ramadan. He died in Shawwal, in Eid, but because he was sick, he was unable to pay it. In this case, it is Allah's right in the wealth. Give 2.5% of his cash or whatever he used to give zakat from. If he died before the time of zakat, there is no zakat. It's over. What about fasting? Well, fasting is a separate issue. Because there is a hadith where the Prophet says, whoever dies while having fasting to make up, then his guardian or his relative would fast on his behalf. So a person falls sick and he continues being sick for 6 months, unable to make up for the missed month of Ramadan, and he dies. There's nothing to be done. No feeding, no fasting on his behalf. A person falls sick. This is scenario number 2. And he recovers. But before he makes up for the missed days, which he is capable of doing, and before Ramadan is due, he dies. In this case, his relatives fast on his behalf. So if he has 10 sons and daughters, each one fasts 3 days, this is sufficient for the whole month of Ramadan. A person falls sick and then continues to be unable to fast for 3, 4, 5 years because of his old age or illness, in this case, they should have fed one poor person for every day missed. Had they, because they did not do so, they can do it now or fast on his behalf. And I hope this answers your question.